Proceed. If I could have the Richmond Residents and Business Association, Angela Hart. Thank you. Good morning, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak. I'm going to talk about from the Richmond Residents Association, and Murray's going to talk about really from the point of view of the jewel in the crown of our area is Avebury House. So we represent the business people and area of Richmond, which is one of the oldest suburbs in Christchurch and has a rich history of cultural significance in the city. After the earthquakes, 27 hectares of Richmond land was designated red zone, depleting the suburb of people and infrastructure. The area also suffered protracted and ongoing flood remediation work and roadworks. Despite this, Richmond is still a suburb alive with a diverse mix of people, community groups, businesses that really want to move on and thrive. We would like to take this opportunity to register our desire to be involved in the regeneration. The global settlement, we think, provides an excellent framework to jumpstart that regeneration and get things going. A priority for many people in Christchurch in general, as well as our suburb. We also endorse the recognition of Te Ranga e Ngāi Tahu as an important partner in the process. We are looking to contribute to, in a significant and substantive manner with Council and all affected parties, to provide a solid future for the zone, its neighbours and Christchurch as a whole. A future we hope will be secured legally, financially and maintained into perpetuity for the benefit of all. We value our contacts that we've been making and working relationships with the Council and other interested parties in the last 18 months. A lot has been achieved and we would like to continue doing this. We would like to act as a conduit within the community to assist in the regeneration from the bottom up and not the top down. Ideally, the regeneration process should be won by the people, with the people and for the people of Christchurch. To this aim, we believe a truly collaborative process between Council and all stakeholders should be established, with equal emphasis on all concerned stakeholders as well as Council staff. We believe this is an opportunity to show everyone how things can be done. We have a unique opportunity here to do some amazing things and provide a truly successful outcome for the city. Rather than the seemingly generic consultation process, which has been the norm, the outcome of which often seems to have been predetermined in the past, we've got a chance to do things differently. We're particularly cognizant of the following in relation to Richmond and the settlement: the Otakau Avon River corridor reconfiguration. The red zone in our area runs along the river, and thus we're vulnerable to flooding and lateral spread on an ongoing process. There are still roads in our area which dissect the red zone and inhabited homes along the fringes of the red zone where the street just comes to a complete stop. These will be directly affected by the changes and over or lack of development. Some roads are still used as thoroughfares or walking trails. Changes to them or to their ability to allow people to move across the red zone to other neighbouring suburbs will have a serious impact on Richmond. Environmental management plan. It is pleasing to see that the settlement includes this. Richmond had, before the earthquake, a number of green spaces, formal and informal. Some significant areas of flora, including native areas, and at least one entry in the significant tree list. Since the earthquake, some of these have been neglected or lost to natural events or intensive development. Preserving and developing the zone in an environmentally sensitive manner is essential, with consideration being given to the existing knowledge and uses of the land within and by the community. Creating a sustainable management plan is the ideal. And we also want to talk about adjacent communities because we're not the only area that abuts the red zone. Developing the red zone in isolation to the adjacent communities in the city as a whole could prove to be short-sighted and limited in its long-term survival and sustainability. Providing a cohesive regeneration plan that includes them all as a whole will support these areas as well as supporting the long-term success of the regeneration. It could also be a stimulus to reactivate the master plans to redevelop areas in the eastern suburbs, which seem to have stalled. True consultation and collaboration, taking on board the community's ideas and goals, allowing the community to lend its skills and efforts in a genuine and constructive manner, can only enhance the success of the regeneration project. And Murray's going to talk on behalf of Avebury House, which is one of the really successful areas in our area that's already been developing, as you've heard itself.
Kia ora koutou. Avebury House is a pivotal council-owned asset sitting right on the threshold of the red zone. It's ideally located as an anchor point or hub for the regeneration activity, and in fact considerable regeneration activity has already occurred around Avebury, with much more coiled and ready to spring forth once appropriate permissions are available. Some of this will be a little repetitive, you've most likely heard it again and again. The staff and the trust board of Avebury House Community Trust are immersed in the action at this location and fully support the passion, energy and most of all the get it done attitude of the people that are active in this space. And there are many groups, most of whom you will have heard from or will hear from today. Richmond is currently a focal point for these people and their passion. However, all are committed to a much broader seeding of the same passion in other locations around this beautiful city and areas that are yet to be activated. So it's almost like a beta test site, if you like. It's particularly disappointing that we have had some feedback that, second-hand essentially, that Richmond's received too much attention or has had too many leases granted by LINZ, suggesting that there's a resistance or a tame the natives type attitude from some of the bureaucracy in various places. Don't know if that's real or not, but it's certainly been heard. And basically, we don't get the same sense from our elected members, which is terrific. We do hope that these community groups or individuals will be encouraged, supported and heralded as pioneers and waymakers of the regeneration, because that's exactly what they are. The Trust has a few particular comments for consideration. First of all, congratulations and well done. Getting the global settlement over the line is the first and most important part to bringing this part of Christchurch back to us and back into our control. Secondly, you will have heard effective governance is a concern for all, and we're hearing that across the board from all of our constituents that sit around Avebury. Governance of the land and the projects upon it. Important that local community representation within that structure is vital to ensure adoption, acceptance and execution of these projects going forward. We'd love to see governments being separated from council bureaucracy, perhaps handled by something independent. I think you've heard that already, with representation selected from local and other local communities and other stakeholders. We'd like consideration to the executive team responsible for development and maintenance of the residential red zone, reporting to and being held accountable by an independent governance board. We'd state that engagement must be collaborative and not consultative. We, as a group, collectively grow quite tired of faux consultation processes designed to rubber stamp activity and outcomes that are already predetermined in our view. Allocation of funding for projects needs a new approach designed to maximise community passion and in-kind contribution, because that can have a massive effect on how quickly and how cost-effectively this thing can be brought to fruition. The Avebury House Community Trust is not thrilled, but accepting of the potential for deep-pocketed corporate or other interest groups to take control of certain parts of the regeneration process. What we want to make sure, though, is that through collaboration and consultation understanding, that doesn't dominate and roll over the top of community interest, because we are very active, we're very passionate and committed to making this a success. We are too concerned about upkeep and maintenance and making sure that that does not degrade following handover to council. That's not a criticism. Obviously, it's an expensive part of the process. What we would like council to consider is that via engagement with communities, not just ours but others, there may be some more cost-effective ways of dealing with maintenance, as long as the parcels or packets of land to be maintained are not too big. If you go for big areas, then communities won't be able to assist. But if you break it down into smaller packages, the likes of the Richmond Community Garden and others associated may well be able to achieve some quite good results around maintenance in a localised area, the likes of Richmond. Really, the speed with which this has all happened was a little surprising, making things a wee bit hard to digest and comment meaningfully. However, we are hopeful that that's indicative of a let's go get it done attitude going forward, because we certainly support that. Time for talk's over, time for action is here. We want to be part of that. And if you're seeing a commonality of view, passion, and indeed a commonality of people across conversations today, that's no accident. That's how we roll in Richmond. That's how we'd like to take it out to other parts of the city that haven't quite got off their bums yet. Tēnā koe.
That's just perfect, and it's just come to the end of the 10 minutes, but you just summed it. I love that, the way that you just wrapped it all up there. Thank you very much for your submission. It's it certainly does reflect what we've listened to this morning in terms of the community wanting us to get on with this.
You're welcome.
So, thank you very much.